recording now.
Okay, perfect. Oh, it's not, now it's weird for me that this is not a live talk, but I will do it as it's live. So welcome, Sascha. I'm so happy and excited to have you on my first confidence talk of this year. I started with this. It's actually a passion project that I started like I think already a few years ago. Then it got into the fridge, or how do they say it? And I was like, this year I want to, I want to do it again. Because first of all, it gives me a lot of energy to do it, to connect with inspiring entrepreneurs like you. But it's also my mission to empower people all over the world to go after their dreams with a lot of confidence. And that's what I want to share with the world. So that's why you are here today. I'm super excited to hear more about me and everyone else. Like, what do you do? Who are you? Tell me a bit about who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Sascha Haert. I'm currently residing in Dubai, where there's a pretty interesting story that fits into our whole confidence talk quite well, I think. I am a co-founder of a personal development business called YogiLab, which we started more than 5 years ago, and it's really there to give people access to their own superpowers through ancient practices and techniques like meditation, like breathwork, like confidence, and many, many other things, modalities from around the world that we experiment with, that we integrate, and then we want to share it with others so they can have that tool in their toolbox as well. And then I'm the founder of a coaching consulting firm called Made Magnetic, where I work with different leaders and entrepreneurs and high-profile individuals to help them in their life, to optimize their life, their performance, their communication, their businesses, their life in many, many ways. So it's quite a holistic approach. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what I do, besides a couple other things that are more in the passion area of like a luxury furniture design business and a few, fashion products. But that's something I just like because I love to wear my own stuff and I see in my house my own things.
Cool. So you design your own clothes?
Many, not entirely, but yeah, from suits to t-shirts to sometimes pants and shorts. I like to create my own stuff rather than just buying something from one of these big chains,
Yes. I
Yeah.
wanted to be a fashion designer when I was younger. I
Interesting.
also like to design my own things. I mostly did it when I went to parties, and then I designed and my grandma would make it. So
Yeah. Nice.
interesting to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, like we're going to talk about confidence a bit. I'm going to ask you some questions about, but of course we let the conversation also flow because it is a talk, it is a conversation, so we don't know what we end up talking about maybe. What does confidence mean to you, Sascha? Or self-confidence?
Self-confidence, confidence. For me, it's the ability to act regardless of fears, hesitation, or any type of insecurities or nervousness. You still act because you believe so much in your own abilities and capabilities to act and handle and deal with absolutely everything that might be thrown at you, good and bad and everything in between. Like you can handle it. So you throw yourself in there because there's nothing really that holds you back. And there's this understanding. It's just the mind that kind of like creates these limitations and blockages. And every time you go into something that might be a little bit scary, may it be talking to that woman that you see on the other side of the road, or having this like big public speaking engagement in front of like 10, hundreds of thousands of people. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. You do not allow that fear to win, basically. That's what I would define as confidence.
Okay. I like the answer, but how do you do that then?
Well, one, you want to become a capable human being, right? And it doesn't
Yes.
matter if you're a man or a woman, like you want to be capable in the things that you do. So you need to go through this process of failures, and you need to become very confident with and comfortable with criticism. I was a professional athlete when I was younger. I was playing for the national team basketball. So at a very young age, I had to learn criticism and failures are entirely important for me to become a better, more capable basketball player and being able to play on an international level. So now all of a sudden, there was this reframe to when someone points something out, it's like, hey, you didn't do this right. You could do this better. There's something wrong over here. I don't look at it as like, oh, no, this is an offense against me. Like, you're not supposed to do that, like now my identity, my persona is basically threatened and offended. No, actually not. That's an invitation from someone else, and they give me a gift of like, here's something where you can become better. So I'm like, thank you, because that's the only way how you can become a better basketball player, become a better, musician, become a better whatever you want to be. You need to be comfortable with failures, and you need to be comfortable with criticism. So the only way to do that is to throw yourself in situations where you're gonna suck in the beginning.
Yeah, because for me, for example, like if I have to speak for audience, or I don't know, if I see a cute guy and I want to go up to, I don't know if you have, but I have still this feeling like, I'm freaking out on the inside, although I see myself as a confident woman, but I have this feeling. And what I do then is I come back to myself, and I also don't make it too big of a deal, right? So that's what I do. But I think it's also normal to have that feeling of being uncomfortable. What do you want to? How can I say? Like, for me, when I do it, is then I do it anyway, despite this uncomfortable feeling.
Correct.
Is that also what you do, or do you have other?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you can go through different steps, right? So number one would be you want to be able to identify where do you feel a little bit insecure, where there is this anxiety, where there is this uncomfortability in doing something, whatever it is, talking to this cute guy, talking to this like hot, beautiful woman over there, like asking for a raise with your boss, like whatever it is. If you notice, okay, like I'm hesitant, I have some sort of resistance toward this, that's the first step. So you're not denying a piece of reality. So once you have that, then you can look deeper. Okay, one, why do I feel that way? Maybe because of that fear of rejection. Okay, cool. But like, what actually happens when you get rejected? Not much, unless you want it to become a big deal, then of course it's going to become much. It's like, oh no, my God, now I have to like cry in bed. And like, it doesn't have to be that way. You can also look at it the same way. Like, let's say I want to talk to you and you give me some sort of a rejection. I'm like, well, actually, thank you, because you're not wasting my time. Also, you're not wasting your time. And on top of it, you give me a little bit of your truth where you're at. You're not interested in me. So like, okay, great. I'm not wasting my time, and we're not doing something that clearly is not going to lead anywhere. So that's a good thing. So ultimately, I find leaning into these moments of discomfort is the way to become more confident and more comfortable with whatever you have to face.
Yeah.
In psychology, we call it, no, I just forgot the name. I just forgot the name. It will come back.
Doesn't matter. You can come back to it later. Yeah, I think rejection. I think it's a thingy, because it's never nice to be rejected, right? Like you still feel I don't know. It's never nice, but then if you reflect on it, most of the time it is something good, because it redirects you to something else.
Yeah.
And in that moment, it feels like, yeah, it sucks, but later on, you realize why it happened, right? And then you're also happy that you got rejected, or that didn't go through, because it brought you somewhere else.
And it wasn't the right person anyway for you. If that person rejects you, that person wasn't the right one for you, And in psychology, now I have it, it's controlled exposure therapy. It's like in a very controlled manner, I want to expose myself to that fear, to that discomfort, to that thing that I really resist for whatever kind of reason. And then I'm becoming more comfortable with that intensity that I might feel inside, until it's actually not intense anymore, because I learn how to deal, how to navigate, how to hold that intensity without actually being affected by it. So then being at effect, I'm like in control. And that, like, in a very controlled manner, I can just, I don't know, if we want to stay with a dating topic, is like I can talk to, if I talk to one woman and I'm getting rejected, and like I stop talking to anyone, like that's a problem, you know. But if I ask her straight away for a date, it's even like I'm gonna go to the very end straight away, or if I'm like asking her to marry us straight away. But if I just try to talk to different women in a very small talk type of way, like in a very controlled manner, just a little bit, that makes me uncomfortable. And then I go a little bit further, and then I go a little bit further. At some point, I might ask a woman for a date, and at some point, I might ask her to marry me. Like, you know, that's very, very different. So if I do this in a controlled environment and like very in controlled manner, then I can learn to conquer my fears.
So if I'm correct, you're also saying like to gain more confidence, you have to take little steps towards it till
Yeah.
you feel more comfortable doing the thing you're scared to do.
Yeah, look at like sports, right? In the beginning, if you have your first game in sports, and you might feel that intensity because you know, like you're probably not going to win. You're going to suck for a certain degree because they're like so much better than you are. But then you start to playing the game and you start to do more competitions, and the more you do it, the more capable you become, the more skillful you become, and then at some point you're also going to win. And it's the same thing in everything. You have to start somewhere. And that's why I said in the beginning, you need to be comfortable and like you're gonna suck in the beginning. But that's the way how you're gonna become a master in something. You're not gonna start as a master in a discipline. You have to go through this learning curve and getting better at it.
Yeah. And do you think also sometimes it's a good idea to not do all the steps, but just jump right in?
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, you know, it's the saying of like you just jump into the water and then you have to learn to swim. It's like it's there for a reason. And for some people, that works very well. For someone else, they just go into a mode of like they freeze. So then you have the stage frightening and you're like, you're just gonna like have this blackout. And then like it probably would have been better to have a little bit of like, I don't know, you go to you do it in front of your family, the speech, and then you do it in front of a few friends, and then maybe like a small audience, and then you go to a big audience rather than trying to do it on national television straight away. You know, for some that works because they're already like, they know like whatever I have to face, I'm gonna be able to capably handle it. For someone else, that might be not the best strategy.
Yes, I think so too. I think it also depends on the situation sometimes a bit. Sometimes you have to jump and sometimes you have to take little steps. And I think at the moment you have to see what what works best for you, right? Like how do you think you can reach that that thing you want to reach with which steps? Do you want to jump right in or do you want to take little steps towards it? Little steps, of course, makes it a bit smoother. It's smoother to get there and less risk to not get there, right?
I do think so, that the faster way to get there, wherever you want to get, is like to jump in it. You take this very small step by step by step, that's good, and it gets you to like to your finish line for sure. But like if you have to get in it straight away,
Yeah.
you might realize it's like, oh shit, I can totally handle this straight away. You know, there's no big deal. I made it just a big thing in my head. But when you're actually in it, it's like, oh, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah, this reminds me so much of my I want to go traveling in South America and I never backpacked, I never traveled before. I never traveled alone. And then I booked a one-way ticket to Rio de Janeiro, and I'm like, oh my God, it was so scary. It was the most scary, like, I don't know, like if I look back on my life, that was something very scary for me. But because of doing that, like taking this very big step, you know, I left as this scary, like a girl scared of everything, and I came back as this powerful woman. I took like 100 steps, right? Like 100 steps forward. Well, if I would have just, you know, maybe one weekend away, I would also have gotten there, but a bit more slow. So I think it really depends. But I have to say, it was very intense. I also don't know if I would do it that way now, but at that moment, it worked for me. So that's why it's interesting, like jump or little steps.
You know, adding to this from my own experience, because I feel like it fits so well. When I moved to Bali from Berlin back in the days, Like I felt that was the most challenging, difficult decision I ever had to make. I left my family, I left my partner, I left my job, I left my team, my basketball. Like I left absolutely everything and moved on the other side of the globe into a different culture, different country, different continent. And it was very, very challenging, you know, at a time
Mhm.
to make that decision. But once I made it, I felt like I love it. It was so amazing. Sure, was there some intensity and was it like, did it come with its own set of challenges? Absolutely, yes. Now, a few years later, and everything the way how I have grown as an individual, like now I moved like pretty much from one moment to another, I moved to Dubai. And then people ask me, it's like,
Okay,
well,
because I want to know about that. Like, tell me, how did you go from? I think but maybe you can tell a bit. Like, I do understand the step from Germany to Bali.
yeah,
I did that myself a bit, but then the step from Bali now to Dubai, because it's again like, yeah, building another life, right? It's again a very different lifestyle. So I'm very curious what brought you there or why you made the decision.
I was in a Vipassana meditation retreat where you spend 10 days in silence in New Zealand. My friend Dave, he told me the meditation center in New Zealand is the most powerful, most beautiful one. And he really like pushed me to like, you have to go there. I was like, okay, let me go there. You know, I was already in Australia, I was in Sydney, and then I just flew to New Zealand and did these 10 days in silence to learn the technique of the Buddha, which I've done many times before, but every single one was very transformative and powerful. So on day 3 or 4, I believe, I just had this prophecy, this download, this like vision of a version of me, a way more confident and like a little bit more cocky version of myself. I'm like, who is this person? I've never seen, like, I've never felt that type of person, you know? It was a different animal, so to speak, in terms of an
Mhm.
embodiment of confidence. And I feel like I am quite confident, you know, in many ways. And I was like, wow, that's a whole new version of myself. And all of what I've seen had happened in Dubai. So then I came back from this retreat. I was like, okay, let me check out what this is all about in Dubai. I had a couple clients in Dubai already, but I never really envisioned myself to live there. So I checked it out for a few days, for 3 days in July, like a few months after I went to Dubai and spent 3 days.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, this feels good. I'm gonna move here. So then when the time was right, when the hot summer in Dubai in the desert was over, I literally moved to Dubai. And then people asked me, it's like, how does it feel to be here? You know, and like make that move. And I realized when I was contemplating on it, it's like, you know what? Actually, it feels quite normal. It's not like a big of a deal. It's just like it's still me, the confidence, the embodiment, and everything that I am and that I have. It's just like I placed myself into a different environment, but I know I can handle it. I know I'm capable of doing it. Yeah, it's not like, you know, yes, it's a new lifestyle. Yes, it's a bunch of new things. But like at the end of the day, the real life, the real world, the real environment is all inside. So it doesn't matter where you're at. But that only happened because I went through a couple iterations before, which was Bali, which was Sydney, and then back Bali, you know. So now moving to Dubai was like, yeah, okay.
And what is the core reason that you moved there? Is it more business wise, or is it like you want to discover this newer version of yourself, or more opportunities? I don't know. Like I never been to Bali actually. I've been to Dubai twice. It is for me a very different lifestyle. I don't know if I would probably do that. I could do it a few, but for me it's I don't know. It would not work for me. So I'm very curious why you chose Dubai. Like, what is there for you now that you feel like you need?
Coming back to that vision that I had in this meditation retreat and what I felt, the version of myself that I can be, that I will be in the future. And all of this happened in Dubai. And I felt that
Mm.
how strongly it was in Dubai. I realized, well, if I wouldn't follow through and actually move to Dubai and spend some time here and meet that version of myself, if I don't move to Dubai, I will always look back at my life and think like, yeah, but what if? What if all of these things that I've seen, that I've experienced within myself in that vision, they come to reality if I just move there? and I don't want to live with that regret. So that's the most important thing, is I don't want to live with that regret of missing that opportunity and meeting that version of myself that I've seen in that vision.
And what things change now then from you in Bali and you now in Dubai? Like, yeah.
I mean, one, the lifestyle is a very different one, right? When you live on a tropical island in Bali, compared
On your
to
flip-flops.
crazy Disney World, Disney World of like unlimited amount of resources in Dubai, you know, in the city. And I love the city. Like in general, I am from Berlin. I love the city. I've been born and raised in the city, you know. And I was ready for a lifestyle change. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, when we are spending too much time in our comfort zone, and you know this, and many others that are going to listen to this know this too, where life becomes a little bit more stagnant. So in
Yeah.
order to grow, in order to expand, in order to increase our capacity of the things that we can hold, we need to put ourselves in positions that we're not quite familiar with. And for me, in that case, with everything that I shared before, that was Dubai.
Yeah. I think it's super cool. Like I have a say now in Valencia. I don't know. I also have this icky feeling, but I don't do the step yet to go somewhere else because I do really feel home here. But I also do understand you. Like I also believe in what you say. Like it's always you, right? It's always you. You can put yourself anywhere you want, and you will still be you. But I think the environment and I think it's alive. The people you surround yourself with, they can take you to another level, right?
Yeah. So
So
why
yeah,
did
it's
you
very.
have that spark though about Valencia then?
I love Valencia because I moved to Valencia for myself. Like I want to see. It feels also like home here. I never felt home somewhere else. Never in Belgium. Nowhere. I traveled a lot also, but here I feel home, and it's the first place in the world that I feel like, okay, if I'm gone, I always want to come back.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. But I also do feel now that I live here little bit longer, business wise, opportunity wise, the people that I meet here, it's not at the same level. You know, a bit the same as you, as I would like it to be. So I'm in that phase because for me, I was in Dubai for work also, and I saw it, and I think business wise, wow, a lot of opportunities there, but I don't think personal wise I would feel comfortable there. So this is an interesting thing for me because life wise, the life I like it here, but business wise, I think I could even do more. So, and the people you meet there, I mean, like it's a different level, right? It's like I don't know, it's so
Don't you think,
different.
don't you think then it comes back to just like your values and your aspirations in life, what you really want to do
Yeah.
with your life? It's not like one is right and one is wrong, you know?
Mm.
It's like I want to feel that like homey type of lifestyle, and I'm okay to take a few steps back and with my business, then like maybe where you're at right now is perfect. But if there's this
Yeah.
aspiration, that dream is like, no, I want to grow. I want to grow as a person. I want to grow my business. I want to like meet other inspiring people that I'm even more aligned with where I see my life going, then is that home that you chose right now really the right one? You know, that's kind of the question that you have to ask yourself. So it's
Yeah.
less about like what feels better, but more like long-term thinking and vision, like what is more aligned.
Yes, yes, yes. I like that. Okay, let's see. Like, what else do I want to ask you? Yeah, I think I have this like the conversation goes a bit like this. Like, I think we already talked a bit about like yeah, where you needed confidence in your life the most. Was it or maybe yeah, I think from moving to Germany to Bali, or is there another time in your life when you felt like, oh my God, that moment in my life, I needed, to be confident, trust on myself, and yeah, I did it and I'm proud of it.
Oh, interesting question. I don't know if I can answer this that way. I actually let me answer it a little bit differently, and then we see where this is going. There were plenty of moments in my life where I didn't feel quite confident at different stages of my life, you know. One, when I was playing basketball professionally in my junior times, I had zero understanding, zero interest, and zero confidence when it comes to women. You know, I was like, that was so far away from me. Anything that is related to this was just like so foreign to me. But then at some point, you know, when you grow older, when you're like all of a sudden you're like an older teenager, you're getting into your 18, 19, 20s or whatever, then it's like, oh no, actually there's more interest. And there was a gap, you know, and I needed to close that gap. So then like I was really looking into what can I do in order to get more comfortable within and also get more comfortable in communicating with these other ladies and girls at a time, you know, because I was just so driven and focused on basketball, a lot of other things that just had to be sacrificed. And,
Yeah.
and relationships and women was one of the big ones at a time, you know? Yeah, so I think that was a big one. Surely moving away out of my comfort zone in Berlin, where I had absolutely everything perfectly set up, and people looked at me, how the hell can you live that life and that lifestyle and these opportunities that you had here? Like people would die for it, you know? And it's true, in many ways they would have, you know? But for me, there was still this void inside. I knew like there's more. I knew at the same time there's a gap, there's something lacking here. And especially in terms of my spiritual growth and my inner work, there were things that I wanted to explore on deeper levels. And I couldn't do this in the environment that I was in. So there was this desire to move to Bali, and and I did at some point.
Yeah, I think that's what make you and I different than maybe the rest of the world. Like when you feel something or you have a vision, or you know what you said with the meditation, you have this vision, and then it comes down to real confidence. I think then it's also to go after this vision instead of what everyone else thinks, instead of how your life looks, you know. And I think that's a different, like, then you go for it. And a lot of people have visions, or they have ideas, or they want maybe different things, or they see a different version of themselves, and they stay in they don't take the action, they don't take the step. And there can be many reasons for it. And I also don't think everyone, how do you say, like, should do the same, or should move around, leave the village or whatever. But I really recognize myself in you. And I also feel like when you make this decision to do something different than the rest, or than what you thought you were going to do, for me, there's also always a point where everything is shit. Like everything sucks, everything works against you. At least in my experiences, like that. Like it's all not going the right way, and then it's for me also to stick through that, and then all the good things are coming. And I also think sometimes, like, you know, I lived in a very small village in Belgium, and I sometimes heard about people, they would move abroad, or they would do an Erasmus or whatever somewhere abroad. They didn't like it after 3 days and they turned back, right? So sometimes you take the step, and then but sometimes you also have to get through this darker periods, I would call. But that is the hardest part, like making the decision at the end. I don't know how that's for you, but for me, it was never the hard part to make the decision. The hard part was like to stick with the decision when everything was like, oh my God. I remember when I moved to Spain, all Sundays I was crying because I didn't know anyone here. Like I didn't have my family here. Sunday was family day. Spain is a country with families, you know, like every Sunday I would be confronted with that. But I stayed, and now I'm super happy here, you know, but I could have also come back.
You know what it is? I think the way how I look at it, it's like we're constantly having a conversation with the universe, and the universe is like testing us. So now you made the decision. It's like, okay, I want to move to Dubai, just to stay with my example because it's so easy. Of course, it comes with its challenges. So basically, the universe is challenging us and basically testing us. Is like, well, how much do you really want it? You know, if the first obstacle comes your way, you're just gonna turn around and do something else, and like then you never really wanted it, you know. Otherwise, you would pursue it regardless of what's gonna come your way. You're gonna make it happen, and then I'm really gonna support you in that. you know, then I'm really gonna reward you for the struggles and everything that you went through because you have shown me you really want it. So I'm gonna give it to you. But it's not gonna be like, okay, yeah, here it's on a silver platter, please take it, you know? It's like they're gonna be challenges. And I think that's the beauty about like where you can see people start a business and then it doesn't really work out. And 3 months later, there's like, oh no, I'm not gonna do it anymore. It's like, well, one small obstacle, one small challenge, and you're like, no, I'm out of it. It's like you never really wanted that business, you know? So I think that's the beauty about looking at these, you called them darker times, you know, these challenges, these obstacles, is like, it's just a challenge that you have to face in order to be rewarded.
Yeah, but it can go very, you know, deep sometimes, you know, if you're living a certain, like same as you living a certain life, you leave behind everything, your relationship, your family, your house, your job, you know, like I didn't feel that was an easy decision. And it was also not an easy time. So but I got through it, you know, and that's the thing also, like I think the times that are rougher make you stronger, and it's a bit of a cliche, but I think that is so true. But I don't really like these times, and most people don't, but they are the ones that help you grow, I think. But it's also easy in these times to go back to what you knew, right? To think like, oh no, I don't want this, I want to, you know, I want to stay safe, I want to hold on to my life, because then it felt like more, I don't know, yeah.
You know, I just remembered another thing that I was not confident with in the beginning, which was English and being in front of the camera. It was very uncomfortable for me. I wasn't like, you know, it wasn't an easy thing for me to be in front of the camera and doing like Zoom calls or like, you know, not in my first language. I don't feel like I can express myself properly and the way how I knew I can express myself in my native language. Being in front of the camera and then like, you know, doing videos and all these other things is like, it was super, super uncomfortable for me. But I did it anyway, you know. I don't know how it was for you, but for me, it was a challenge, you know, it wasn't easy. Now it's like, yeah, okay, it's fine, whatever. Like people can still understand me. It's not perfectly correct in English more often than not, probably, and you know, with the grammar and everything else. Who cares? They get the point.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I recognize that so much. Yeah, because I'm super comfortable. Also, I make Instagram stories, whatever. I'm talking in front of the camera. After our call, I will make some YouTube videos. But I remember when I started my business, I followed actually a course like it's what's called Visibility Queen, whatever. But I had to make every day a video, just a small video with my phone, record myself and post it. Oh my God, the first video, it was like, I remember I was super scared to do that. But people don't see that right now. They see my stories and they say, oh, Jacinta, you look so like, I love your stories and how you do it. I know I can never do that. I'm like, yeah, but I also started like, I think if I show you my first video, it was like, oh, you know, I was super scared. I was super, how do you say, like conscious about yourself. You record it 10 times and then now it's like record, post, and it's done. Same as flying, for example. I remember the first time I was going to fly alone, I was so scared. I met a girl at the airport and I told her like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I never flew alone. And she took my hand and she said, Jacinta, I will take care of you. A girl, I did it, a random girl. She helped me, you know, and I was like, now, yesterday I was flying, I was delayed at the airport, I was sitting there, I was alone, I was flying, but you know, I wasn't scared anymore, you know. So it's like, that is also confidence. I was scared of flying alone, but I did it. I was scared of making videos. Scared maybe is a big word, but you're uncomfortable doing it. But then we do it, and the more you do it, the more of a normal thing it becomes, and then you can grow. But if you never take that step to do it, then you can also never get to that point of, yeah, like we now talking in English with each other, with the camera. English is both not our native language. Yeah, and I think that is super cool. And if you would never have taken the step to start the video, and we would also never have been here, right? So I think that's super cool.
No, I think many people, including me at a time, and probably still, because like, you know, we're all humans. There's so much more to learn and to grow from. This fear of being fully seen for everything that we are, is obviously a big one, you know, like to be able to allow us to be seen with everything that we have to offer as well. That's scary in itself for many of us, you know. And I think it's actually a very beautiful thing, and all these small and bigger steps, and regardless of what kind of fear or discomfort that is there, ultimately leads us to get more in touch with our own superpowers, and for others to be able to see these superpowers.
Yeah. I always also try to, you know, if I get too much in my head or think too much about things, I try to approach the world as a child, right? As like, oh, let me try this. But let's make a video, and and it makes everything so much lighter. And then you just do it. And that's also, you know, a child also doesn't think about like, oh, would I do this? Oh, would I do that? Oh no, I'm not going to do it. And I think that's a very nice way to approach it. But sometimes we forgot to be a child, right? To be open to the world, open to new opportunities. But if you are, that brings you actually so much, right?
Yeah, I do agree. Childlike innocence is one of these big pieces where we can learn so much as adults from them, and the way how they approach life, this non-judgmental, being so in the moment type attitude that they have. They don't care what anyone else thinks. They say it as they see it. They do it as they want to. They can be crying in one moment. You give them a funny face, and all of a sudden, a second later, they're laughing. You know, they don't hold on to things. They're just like so present with everything that they are and what they see and believe in. And I think that's so beautiful. And that innocence that they bring to life, the way how they look at the world, is very beautiful.
It's super beautiful and super pure. Like
Very
it's yeah, I love that. Okay, I want to ask you maybe two last questions. What is one advice you could give the viewers today to gain more confidence? Like one golden tip that you feel more confident immediately. I don't know if that exists, but maybe you have an idea.
To feel more confidence immediately.
For example, because you were saying about, oh, maybe talking to a girl or talking to a man, whatever.
It's an exercise. It's an exercise. It's not my exercise, but I think it's very powerful. It's from Mel Robbins. It's the 5-second rule. So when there's something like, let's see, I want to talk to that woman, I'm like noticing, I don't know if I should do it. You count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you go. So when you're counting down, what happens is you cannot continue to engage your mind, and it's like finding all the reasons why you shouldn't do it, why it's not the right time to do it. And then when it's 1, you literally have that countdown of like, okay, now I'm gonna go. And then you're just gonna do it. You know, so that's a very quick way of like facing that fear and that resistance that we might face in the moment. And it doesn't allow our brain to create all these reasons why we shouldn't do it. So I think that's one thing. Another one is like, you can, you know, when you're facing, you a little bit agitated about whatever, and you need to go into this presentation right now, you want to talk to your boss or whatever, go to the bathroom first and like wash your face, you know, do a pattern interrupt. You know, maybe you're in the elevator and then you just like scream out on top of your lungs if you're alone in the elevator, just to change your state of mind. And these pattern interrupt techniques, and there's so many, you know, for someone else is watching listening to a specific song, like a power song that really makes them feel confident and strong and powerful. Then like listen to that song for 3 minutes. For someone else is like doing 20 push-ups on the ground and then do that thing, you know. That pattern interrupt is really, really powerful. So the 5-second rule,
I love that.
interrupt would be my answer.
I love that. Thank you for these 2 tips. I also didn't know them yet, so it will also help me. Is there something else you want to add to our talk about confidence? Is there something you want to talk about, or a question you wish I would have asked you that I didn't?
I think No. And my something that really inspires me, and this is maybe good because you're a woman, so you can look at it from the other way around. I find one of these big pieces that a lot of men don't have, and yes, it does include confidence, but it's like because we're not becoming more integrated as human beings, as men, and we don't know how to regulate our emotions, we don't know how to deal with these challenging situations in our lives because of that lack of confidence or that insecurity, we're actually not really doing the world and the women in our lives a big favor. And I feel like
Mhm.
there's such a big piece where we as men as a whole can just rise so much higher, and really step more back into the role of who we are and be like a healthy version of a masculine representation, and being of service for women the same way how they in an ideal world are of service for us.
I love that. Thank you so much, Sascha. Yeah, I really want to thank you for this talk. I feel we really went with the flow, and I love that. Also, thank you for sharing your energy. I can feel your energy from Dubai, so that's super nice. You're all the time with a smile on your face. I like that.
A good smile is the biggest currency that we have because it can literally travel around the world. You might take that smile right now and give it to someone else, and they give it, and like it can literally travel around the world. The
I
beauty
love
about that
that.
type of currency is it doesn't cost anything.
Nah, I love it. Thank you for these beautiful words and your beautiful energy and this lovely talk.
Thank you for having me and allowing us to jump on this call, especially the first one of many coming up for you now.
Yes, I'm
Confidence.
super excited, and I'm so happy we made that first video ever, to show our face on camera, online, and share a smile with the world.
Have a beautiful
You too. Bye bye.